If you enjoy learning the Cherokee language with RSU TV, join our Signal Society. Your monthly gift of $10 a month ensures that RSU TV can continue to produce programs like the Cherokee language classes. Click the link in the description or call 1-800-823-7210 to join today.
Welcome to Cherokee 2 here at RSU TV. Galielig Jigedo Kohig. I'm glad that I'm here today. So today, Kohig Kalkuo Gine Chalagi Adelo Koaste. This is the 7th Cherokee lesson, Kalkuo Gine. Okay, that should be a word that you're already familiar with because we've used it quite a bit in the story that we're working on. All right, so without any further ado, come, idalena, let's start. Okay, chalagi idiwoni, let's speak in Cherokee. All right, so one of the first tasks that we do in every class is we are currently learning how we introduce ourselves in Cherokee, the kinds of things that we would say if we were asked to get up and introduce ourselves in a meeting or at a gathering or something like that, how we would talk about ourselves and the kinds of things that really you use in any language, and then things that we talk about in Cherokee. So we've gone probably about halfway through our list, and we'll go through some more. But today we're going to talk about work, okay? So if you look at the syllabary here, this says da, gi, le, we, sta, ne, hon, okay? And you pronounce it dagi lun stane hon. Okay, dagi lun stane hon. Some people just say dagi lun stane. Okay, dagi lun stane means I work. Okay, dagi lun stane hon means I work habitually. Okay, so you can say it either way. Either way, they will know what you're talking about, whether you use dagi le stane or you say dagi le stane hon. Either way is perfectly fine, okay? So, for example, I would say Jalagi Cherokee Ayetli Nation dagi le stane hon, okay? Jalagi Ayetli dagi le stane hon. I work at Cherokee Nation. Notice that the word order is flipped. We put where we work first, and then we say, I work there. So, Jalagia Yetli Dagilastan home. Or if you work at the school, you could say, for example, RSU Jundelo Kwasti Dagilastan home. I work at RSU school, right? Or you could say, Wali Madi, Walmart Dagilastan home. I work at Walmart. So, this is another thing that we commonly talk about when we're introducing ourselves. We talk about what we do for a living. Okay, dagi le stane hon. All right. So the next thing that we go through is conversational Cherokee, things that you can use at home. If you're living with other people, you can use them with your family, you can use them with your children, nieces and nephews. A lot of these are geared toward things that you typically tell children. So if you have young ones, grandkids or kids at home, you can start using these rather than English. And I can tell you from experience, I use these with my daughter pretty much on a daily basis, and it works. Just keep telling them over and over again. You know, in the beginning, this is how I do it. In the beginning, I'll tell them the Cherokee first. If it's a brand new word or a brand new command, I'll tell them in Cherokee first, and then I'll tell them the English. I'll do that a couple of times when I do it, and then I'll just drop the English part. And you can tell that they're starting to get it because they'll ask, they'll say, oh, do you mean da 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 da? And you'll be like, that's what I mean. Or they'll ask, well, what does that say? And then you can give them the English, but always give them the Cherokee first. And then if they need the support or the scaffolding, then you can give the English to them. So the one that we're going to do today is this one right here. This is ta la su tle ga. Ta la su tle ga. Ta la su tle ga. That means put your shoes on. Okay, ta la su tle ga. Put your shoes on. Ta la su tle ga. Now, if you want to tell them to, like if they have one pair of shoes on and they need to change into a different pair of shoes, all you need to do to say that is you just say nu dale ta la su tle ga. That means put different shoes on. Nu dale means different, okay? So you can say nu dale ta la su tle ga. Put different shoes on. Okay, but if you're just telling them, you know, it's early in the morning and they're getting dressed for school or whatever, and you need them to put their shoes on so you can walk out the door, then you say ta la su tle ga. Okay. Now, if at the end of the day, you know, when they get home and they're getting ready to take their bath or something like that, to tell them to take their shoes off. If you'll notice, the syllabary is very similar. Ta la su, that part is the same, okay? Then to take them off, you say ta la su lagi, okay? So that's take them off, ta la su lagi. So you'll notice there's kind of an upswing on the end of the word, and that's very, very important, the tone, ta la su lagi. That means take them off, okay? Take your shoes off. Ta la su tle ga. Put your shoes on, okay? To put your shoes on, ta la su tle ga. To take your shoes off, ta la su lagi. Okay, and most of the clothing is that way. So, for example, the word shoe is a la su long, okay, that's one shoe, okay, di la su long, more than one shoe, di la su long, so you can hear the word shoe in the word for put your shoes on, di la su long, ta la su tle ga, right, and so you can tell kind of what they're talking about. So for example, this right here, this is no. This is a shirt. And if you want to tell somebody put your shirt on, you say hana woga. That's put your shirt on. That ga sound. If you want them to take the shirt off, hana wegi. And again, it has that kind of upsweep in the end in tone, hana wegi. Okay, take your shirt off. All right? So shoes, back to shoes. Put your shoes on, ta la su tle ga. Take your shoes off, ta la su lagi. Okay, ta la su tle ga, ta la su lagi. All right. So I believe our last class we finished our fox and crawdad story. And it is my that you're starting to get a little sick of it, okay? Because what that means is that you're acquiring that vocabulary. And you're like, oh my gosh, if I have to hear the word jutli one more time or the word g-stun one more time, you know, I'll go nuts. That's a good thing, because that means that you're at least acquiring that vocabulary. So today, we're going to review the story as we learned it, And I made myself, because I noticed, of course, I'm not a master at American Sign Language or anything like that, but I try to use as much ASL as I can for the different vocabulary, because the actions sometimes help you remember the words. And so I had to make myself a little cheat sheet here for words that I'm not that familiar with in ASL. So if you're a signer, I apologize if I mess them up, but please remember that our primary focus is Cherokee, and I'm using the actions to help bolster your Cherokee learning. So if they're not exactly correct, for my purposes, it's secondary, okay? So anyway, so we're going to tell the story. We're going to go a little bit slow, and then we'll move on with our lesson today. So, Ilahiu jigesa nigada inage anehi eli dantlano heska sawu iga klawo tuhi na amayulti adan sini doha jistan. Let me put my glasses on here. Na jutli uwotla. Okay. Unlena he dantlano heska. Jutli jistana utadane. Doyus hisanul gadon ale amaike hisanul udane jistan utloyi jisanul gadon ale amai jutli kla you will he hune. Okay, did not believe. You will kla you will he hune. Okay. Untokiasti dunuk tane jutli ale jistan. Okay, so hopefully you were able to follow the story as I was giving you the signs to help remind you what the different words represented. Okay? Galkwog gadusi dunuk tane wuna tlusti. Agayi wikatluta galkwogine gadusi widigetlu skesti. Udatlosa gesesti. Gadu galala odala unilosa. Galkwog gadusi dunisuyesa munatlasti. Unlena he uskanol gese jistan jutli ulohi sele jistan jistan wajiniya sela jutli ganidata na ulose ganidata wukila he jistan utlist jutli wutlistana jutli ganidata ukilo Chistan. Wuni lucha kalkuogine kadusi. Jutli uwetlune. Chistan na uwetlune squo. Okay? So, uwetlune squo also. Okay? Okay, usquanict, uyelese, jutli, na, gistan, wulurchesku, jutli, utadane, na, gistan, siwu, inatokia. Inatokia, right? Inatokia. Okay? Sigu inatokia. Okay? Unaktahase. Wuntokiyastana. Odala. Junlena he. Okay, so ayetli kla antogiaska jutli utlis uktahase. Na gistan hale ulosa. No wu stayosa wajiniya sela jutli ganidada. Anskini nudanele. Kolaha. Okay, this is bone. Kolaha, bony. Wajaniya sela ganidata. Jutli, uluche, odala, uwetlune. Ale, chistan, uwetlunesco. Jutli, aguhistana, gistan, galonu heska, gistan, udahila, ulonu, udahila, okay, udahila, ulonu hetla, jutli, unosele, gistan, aguant, skinia sela, gini data, jutli, ajikehi dola. Okay, ajikehi dola, gistan. This is ajikehi dola, to chase. Okay, jutli ajikehi dola, gistan. Klaskin eli wultise. Okay, klaskin eli wultise. Jutli wajia gistan. Okay, so hopefully you were kind of able to follow along in spite of my terrible signing. Okay, so hopefully you were able to follow. All right, so these next couple lessons we're going to work on one last version of this story. And this time we're going to add a little bit more dialogue. Of course, there's a little bit of dialogue in the story this time, but we're going to add a little more. The reason being is dialogue exposes you to the present tense, okay? So it's vocabulary that you can kind of use immediately, okay? Most of the tense that we've been working in is the past tense because we're telling a story that happened in the past, right? Which is good when you're telling about things that happened. But dialogue helps introduce vocabulary that talk about things that are going on right now, okay? So let's see if we can kind of work our way through this, okay? Most of it's fairly the same. You should recognize a lot of it, all right? So the first sentence says, Ilahiyu jagesa nigada inage anehi dantlano heske. Okay? That sentence should be fairly, you should be able to figure out that sentence. Ilahiyu jagesa means a long time ago. Nigada, all. Inage anehi, all those that lived in the wild, right, which is our word for wild animals. Dan klano heska, or dan klano heske, they could talk together, okay? Now, here's a new sentence, but let's see how much we can understand of it. It says, Gistan ulsek gese, gadon ale amo, okay. Gistan, hopefully you recognize that word as crawdad. Ulsek means unique, okay, or peculiar, okay, different. But not different like the word nudale. We talked about the word nudale. That means other, different. Ulsek means something unique, okay? Gese means was, okay? Gistan ulsek gese. So the crawdad was unique. Gadon, okay? The earth or the ground. Ale, amo, okay? Ijula means both. Ganelo means he live or he would live, okay? So ganela means he lives, okay? Or ganel, you can say ganel. So you could say Tahlequah ganel, okay? Tahlequah ganel, he lives in Tahlequah. And this is ganelon, okay? Ganelon, that's kind of the habitual form of that. So, Gistan ulse gese, gadon ale amo, ijula ganelon. Okay? So he could live both on the land and in the water. Okay? Sawu iga, one day, Gistan klawotu amayulti na'a. Adon sini doha. That's misspelled. Let's go ahead and let's just fix that real quick. Adon sini doha. Adon sini doha. There, that looks better. Okay? So, sawu iga, one day, Gistan crawdad tlawotu, the mud amayulti, ama, hopefully by now you know ama is water, okay? Amo means in the water, okay? Amayulti means alongside the water, okay? Amayulti, na near. Adon sini doha, Adon sini doha. He was crawling around, okay? Adon sini doha. It was like he was dragging himself around, okay? Sawu iga jisten klawo tu amayulti na adansini do ha. Na okay, we just had that word, so what does it mean? Na nearby. Jutli uwotle. Okay, so nearby the fox was sitting. Uwotle. Okay, you can also say uwotle depending on who you're talking to. Okay, unlenahe, they started dantlanoheska, to talk. They started to talk to each other. Okay, unlenahe dantlanoheska. Unlenahe dantlanoheska. Okay, so Jutli utadane asked a question. Okay, do you hisanul amo? Okay, you're really fast. Do you means really. Hisanul means you're fast. Amo, in the water. Okay, do you hisanul amo? Gadon hina. Okay, gadol hina. Okay, gadol hina, gadon, the earth or the ground. Hina means, what about you? Okay, so this means, what about you on the ground? Okay, utloyas, the same. Hisanul, okay, the same fast, okay, so are you just as fast is what we would say in English, but this means, are you the same fast, okay? Are you the same fast on the earth as you are in the water, okay? Jutli utadane, do you hisanul amon, gadohina, utloyas hisanul. Okay, he answers, Doda jisanul udane jistan. Okay, Doda, that means it's kind of a contraction of do you and adding the emphasis dun. Okay, do you, we learned, means really. Dun is added for an emphatic agreement. So he was like, yeah, really, jisanul, I'm really fast, okay? I really am fast, okay? Udane jistan, said, udane jistan, okay? Yigin toki ahid, yigalohis gele, okay? Ahid, yigin toki. If we were to race, yigin toki, ahid yigalohis. Okay, I'd probably win. Okay, ahid yigalohis. Gele, I think. Gele, I think. You'll hear gele used a lot by speakers whenever they're talking, because they'll be like, well, I think this, okay? So, yigin toki ahid yigalohis gele. So, if we were to race, probably I would win, I think, gele. Okay? Dodan jisanul udane jistan, yigin toki ahid yigalohis gele. Okay. Tla yigagotisko gado hatli doha. Tlawo tu hiwu gagoti ho hadan sini doha. Okay, so this is fairly new sentence, okay, and this should actually be a put in quotations because these are words that were used by Jutli. Okay, so Tla yiga go tisko. Tla yiga go tisko means I don't see you. Okay, I don't see you. Okay, Gadon hatli donha. It's like I haven't seen you run on the ground. Okay, I haven't seen you on the ground. Okay. Tlawotu hiwu, just mud. Just mud. Tlawotu hi. That means mud. That wu at the end means only or just. So tlawotu hiwu, only mud. Go ti ho, I have seen you. Hadan sini doha, crawling around, dragging yourself around. Okay? So, Tla yiga go tisko gadon hatli doha. Tla wo tu hiwu go ti ho hadan sini doha. Okay, so it's I haven't seen you running on the ground. Only mud, tlawo tu hiwu go ti ho. Have I seen you? Hadon sini doha, crawling around. Okay? Okay. Tla do hele nigal stiwu yin toki. Okay. Tla do hele. Okay, if you don't believe it's true, tlado hele, nigal stiwu yintogi. Let's race. Yintogi means race. Nigal stiwu, sometime or anytime. Okay, nigal stiwu. Okay, so if you don't believe me, let's race sometime. Okay, tla do hele ni gastiwu yin toki. Udane jistan, right? Hawa udane jutli no da yin toki. Okay, hawa means okay. Udane jutli, said the fox. No da yin toki. Now, no da, right now. Yin toki. Let's race. Yin toki. Let's race. All right? All right. So, I think that this is a good place to stop because we've got quite a bit of new information. So let's work our way through it using the syllabary this time, okay? So again, as I've told you before, I'm trying to improve my reading comprehension. The only way to do that is to do it more often. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So we're going to work on our comprehension together. So we'll go super slow and we'll make our way through this. I hope that by this time you're able to recognize by sight certain words. Maybe you recognize the word jutli, okay? Maybe you recognize the word ale, okay? Maybe you recognize the word jistan, okay? And that's just the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. I would recommend that you would take maybe a screenshot of this page, and you can use it to help yourself read. You could print it out, you know. But the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, especially if it's a story you're already familiar with. If you'll notice, little children when they're learning how to speak and they're learning how to read, they love hearing the same story over and over again, right? They'll ask you to read a story to them before they're literate. They'll say, read this story again. The reason why is because they're acquiring all that vocabulary. Every time they hear that story again, more and more of it will make sense to them. Okay? Not all of it will make sense to them at first, but the more you read it to them, and that's why they ask for you to read the same story over and over again. Or if they watch movies or cartoons or things like that, they ask to watch them over and over and over and over and over again. And the reason why is because it's an internal compulsion for them to acquire language. It helps them. It helps them with syntax. It helps them with internal grammar. It helps them with pronunciation. It helps them acquire all of that language. And that's what we're trying to do with you. I'm trying to tell you this story over and over and over and over again, because the more you hear it, the more you're going to acquire of it. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and we'll read our way through it extremely slow, because again, this is new for me. So I may have to go back and re-look at them, you know, if I can't figure them out. I may have to go back to the phonetics, and so let's see. All right, so this says Ilahiyu. Ilahiyu Chagesa. Okay, Ilahiyu Chagesa. Okay, pretty confident with that word. Nigada. Nigada. Let me change this to, there we go. Okay, Nigada. Nigada. All. Nigada. Inage. Anehe. Okay, inage anehe. Wild animals, or animals that live in the wild. Dana tlano heske. Okay, dan tlano heske. Dan tlano heske. Okay, the next word, gistana. Gistan. Okay. Uli segi. Ulsegi. Ulseg. Gese. Gese. Ulseg. Gese. He was special. He was unusual, right? Ulseg. Gese. Gadon. Ale. Amon. Ijula. Ganelon. Okay, so Gadon, Ale, Amon, Ijul, Ganelon. Sagwu. Sagwu. You can say that Sagwu, or you can say it like I do, Sawu. Sawu. Okay. Sawu Ika. Sawu Ika. Gistana. Gistan. Tlawotu. Tlawotu. Good. So you notice here, tla, wo, and this is do normally, but I know from the two characters in front, and because I know the story and I know the word mud, that it must be tlawotu. Okay. Amayulidi. Amayulti. Amayulti. Near the water. Na. Nearby. Okay, this one I can tell is incorrect. Okay, it's a misspelled word. So let's go ahead and we will go ahead and we will fix it. Adon, si, ni. Okay? All right. Adon, si, ni, do, ha. Now, just to make sure I'm correct, let's go back through. Okay? Okay? Yes, right here. Adon, si, ni, do, ha. Okay? So, we went back and we corrected it. Adon, si, ni, do, ha. Adon, si, ni, do, ha. Okay? Crawling around, right? Adon, si, ni, do, ha. Na, nearby. Ju, kli. U, wo, tle. U, wo, tle. Un, na, le, na, he. Un, le, na, he. Un, le, na, he. Don, kla, no, he, ska. Don, kla, no, he, ska. Ju, kli. U, t, done. Hopefully by now you recognize when you see these characters together, the first da takes a t sound. U, t, done. Do, you, hi, sa, nul, mo. Gado, hi, na. Gado, hi, na. U, tloyas, u, tloyas. Hi, sa, nul, u, tloyas, hi, sa, nul. Are you just as quick? Do, da, ji, sa, nul. Ji, sa, nul. Do, da, ji, sa, nul. U, done. Ji, done. Yi, gini. Okay, this says yi, gini, dogi. But I know yi, gin, togi. Yi, gin, togi. Yi, gin, togi. Ahid, ahid, ahidi. Okay, ahid. Yigalohis. 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 Geli. Okay, of course this has an at the end. Geli. You could say geli. Okay. Yigalohis. I would beat you. Geli. Tla. Yi. Go. Lisko. Okay. Tla, yi, go, lisko. Tla, yi, go, lisko. Ga, don. Ha, tli, do, ha. Ha, tli, do, ha. Okay, running around. You are running around, okay? Tla, wo, tu, hi, wu. Tla, wo, tu, hi, wu. Tla, wo, tu, hi, wu. Ge, go, ti, hon. Ge, go, ti, hon. I habitually see you. Ha, don, si, ni, do, ha. Ha, don, si, ni, do, ha. Crawling around in the mud. Tla, do, hi, ye, li. Okay. So, tla, do, hi, li. Hi, li. Ni, gal, li, stiwu. Ni, gal, stiwu. Ni, gal, stiwu. Yin, ni, dogi. Yin, toki. Yin, toki. Okay? Yin, toki. Hawa. Udane. Jutli. No, da. Jin, no, da. Yin, toki. No, da. Yin, toki. All right. So we've kind of worked our way through it, kind of sounded our way through the words. This is why I always recommend that you understand a little bit of language before you try to teach yourself your syllabary. The reason being is when you go to read whole words and whole sentences, whole paragraphs, those kinds of things, if you don't have the language, sometimes you might mispronounce a word. I can give you a funny example. When I first started working at Cherokee Nation, long time ago, over 15 years ago, my former boss wanted me to take a Cherokee proficiency test. And so again, I'm a learner, and so one of the translators gave the test to me. And the test is very, very heavily geared toward syllabary and syllabary recognition. So I took the test, and I scored really, really well. And at the end of the test, there's a little story that you have to read, and it's all in syllabary, and you have to read it. And so I read it, and the person who gave me the test, she was like, do you mind if I ask you a personal question? And I said, no. I said, go right ahead. And she said, you read it really well. She said, she said, did you know what you were reading? And I said, no. I said, I had really no idea. I said, I could pick out, words. It was something about a rabbit, I think. And I said, but, as far as what was going on, I just had no idea, but it was because my reading comprehension was so low, and I didn't have a strong vocabulary. So my recommendation to you is to learn a little bit of Cherokee first, and then worry about learning the syllabary. So in the couple minutes that we have remaining, I'm going to read the story to you one more time, okay? And so you can either follow along with your finger as I read the words to you. That will help you with your sight recognition. Or if you want to work on your comprehension, your listening comprehension, you can just listen to the story, okay? Come. Ila hiuchikesa nigada inage ane he dantlano heske. Jistan ulsek kese. Gadon ale amo I jul ganelon. Sawu ega jistan tlawotu amayulti na adan sini doha. Na jutli uwotle. Unlena hedan tlano heska. Jutli utadane. Do you hisanul amo. Gadohina. Utloyas hisanul, doda jisanul, udane jistan. Yigin toki, ahid yigalohis agele. Tla yigagol go tisko. Yigago tisko gadon hatli doha. Klawo tu hiwo gago ti ho hadan sini doha. Tla do hiele nigausti wu yin toki. Hawa udane jutli no da yin toki. All right. So that brings us to the end of the story. I just noticed that there was a typo as I was reading it. That's why I kind of paused there for a second. So before the story, before we join you next time, I'll have it fixed, and we'll continue learning through this story. So from all of us here at RSU TV, we want to say Wadon and Ihe Dola In. Come back.